Paul Harrell, weekdays from 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com.
Listen, I understand that on Friday, even though it's one of the best days of the week, especially here on the program because we have our Johnny Cash Fridays, I understand that there are people that maybe they get out of work a little early, they don't have time. Anyway, on Fridays, a lot of times your daily routines are a little disruptive. That's all I mean to say. And so with that being said, I know there are some of you missed the program on Friday. Specifically, folks who are in the Northwest Arkansas audience may have missed the program on Friday. And you'll remember that a week ago today, I told you that the Benton County Republican Committee, they were hosting Conduit for Action at their Republican gathering. It'll be a week ago tomorrow. And on Friday, we covered the fallout of that because apparently the presence of Conduit for Action essentially brought out legislators who never come to meetings. And so we've got some interesting audio. We've got audio of State Representative Kim Hendren, Jim Hendren's father, thanking essentially Conduit for Action for coming because it actually brought the legislators to the committee who never show up. We have other legislators like State Representative Jana De La Rosa, who said that the reason she never shows up is because half of the committee complain that their elected officials aren't conservative enough, and she essentially says, and that hurts her feelings, and so that's why she chooses not to show up. But you know, what's interesting about Benton County, and what we discovered on Friday, is that the establishment is terrified of you. They are coordinating their talking points to beat back any sort of conservative insurgency that is calling a spade, a tax increase, or growing government. If you are holding true to your conservative principles and you are trying to implement them or point them out or exercise those principles, the intersection of conservative ideas and reality in your county committee, the Republican establishment is pretty unified, you know? Now, I know we're all unified when it comes to Arkansas, right? We're all Arkansans, but even among that, there's little divisions. You have divisions of, you know, a central Arkansas from northwest Arkansas or northwest Arkansas from northeast Arkansas. Last week, you had the Arkansas State Red Wolf football coach Blake Anderson at the Little Rock Touchdown Club making a joke about the Razorbacks being losers, certainly pointing out, hey, look, there's a division there, right? But we're all Arkansans. But what's interesting about that particular point is that would you believe that Republican officials in Craighead County, up in my neck of the woods, and Republican officials in Benton County, right, and Republican officials in Little Rock are coordinating their talking points to make sure they retain their positions of power? Well, we have proof of it. Let's start in northeast Arkansas, right? Let's start with Craighead County. Senator John Cooper out of Craighead County, who is now forevermore on this program going to be affectionately referred to as the Benedict Arnold of the Arkansas General Assembly. Here's a guy who was elected with Tea Party support and immediately went down and betrayed the people that sent him there and voted to continue Medicaid expansion. He was on the Public Health Committee and was the deciding vote, and he went along with Jim Hendren's farce. And has anybody called yet and told us that Medicaid expansion ended? No? Okay, just checking, making sure that I'm not wrong. So here's this email, and I told you this on Friday. I had like 15 people send me this email of Senator John Cooper blasting his own Republican committee. Interesting how we have the same talking points at the local levels of committees in Craighead County in northeast Arkansas and all the way over in Benton County in northwest Arkansas, and I will prove it to you right now. Apparently, Senator John Cooper, the Benedict Arnold of Arkansas General Assembly, has he's in a little bit of a tiff with his own committee because, it's a shocker, somebody in the committee thinks he was rude to the secretary in the Craighead County Republican Committee keeping minutes. And so he gets criticized in one email, and so he decides to respond, and he says, James, I don't see the minute situation like you do at all. I didn't hear anyone being rude to Debbie. We were dealing with a complex situation in which there had been issues referred to a subcommittee for 2 months now, and they had been ignored without any meeting being called to deal with the issues. You can see this email. It's up at paulharrell.com, Facebook Live, and YouTube. Now, about the 4th or 5th paragraph down, this is where he gets really into the meat and potatoes of what's on his mind. He says, it seems you are suggesting the rest of us just sit down and shut up and do what we were expected to do before. Those days are over. I, for one, am going to expect the process to be followed. If that takes up more time than you like, then so be it. We are no longer going to rubber stamp the desires of a small number of Tea Party extremists in our committee that wants to run over the rest of the committee. You can expect the issues to be vetted in the future. He goes on. So he mentioned Tea Party once there, and then further, let's see here. Yeah, he says, ours is no different. See, chairman and vice chairman of the county committee across the state have gotten away for quite a while with playing loose with the rules and ethics. But this is causing a number of confrontations now. Confrontations with the governor, I'll tell you that much. Ours is no different. It is a divided committee, and we don't have many business and professional type people that want to be part of it because we put up with a Tea Party element in the committee. Senator Cooper, business professional types, you mean hospital types that maybe don't have the influence that they want? Hospital types like you donating to Dan Sullivan's opponent. Maybe that's the professional type people that he really wants to see in the committee. I don't know. So he bashes the Tea Party. Again, John Cooper, Senator Cooper, the Benedict Arnold of the committee. And then fast forward. Actually, before we get into Benton County now, let's listen to Senator Bart Hester, shall we? But let's listen to him in October of 2014. Joe, whenever you're ready, sir.
I'm Bart Hester. I'm the senator from Benton County. On both sides of the ticket, that's what we campaign on. I will. I won't. I promise. What we don't campaign on is sometimes, usually, maybe, if the governor does this, if a lobbyist pressure me this way, if my mayor calls, maybe sometimes, right? We need candidates when the going gets tough, and it's tough. We'll remember that I will and I won't.
All right, stop right there. Now, that was the Senator Bart Hester that I first met in October. His first time. He was actually in Jonesboro when he said that. He was on the steps of the Craighead County Courthouse. See how this is unifying both sides of the state? He was on the steps of the Craighead County Courthouse, and he was campaigning for great conservatives like Dan Sullivan, like Brant Smith, Jack Ladyman and others. And he was saying, hey, we need to get these guys elected. It was a tour. We started in Independence County that morning at the Independence County Courthouse. And then we went up to Greene County and Paragould. Then we came into Craighead County. And it wasn't just Bart Hester. There was all of these other supposedly, and some of them still are, but others immediately caved when the going got tough, when the governor called, maybe sometimes. Interestingly enough, when you listen to that audio, we don't campaign. We campaign on I will and I won't. We don't campaign on maybe sometimes if the governor does that. Fast forward, here we go. Bart Hester, after a Conduit for Action is speaking, and they're opening it up to the crowd last Tuesday night. Senator Hester's in the audience, and he feels compelled to say this.
Bart, you want to open it up by telling us? Go ahead.
I'd like to. So I noticed when you guys pulled your website up earlier that you had a picture of our governor, because earlier today or yesterday you sent your 5,000th article trashing our governor.
Our
we
governor.
know and respect from the Benton County Republican Party. Mm-hmm. I recognize that your committee fully supported someone else in the 2014 governor election, and you were against our governor.
Our governor.
But the point is, and I'd like to start you guys with Proverbs.
That controls me.
18:17. It says, when you hear one side, you think it's right till you hear the other side. Senator Hendren will have out a shot evaluation. Ooh. That's a fighter pilot about a fighter pilot scoring of these scorecards. You may think one is right until you hear the other side. And I will assure you, what you've seen here tonight is full of misinterpretations. It lacks integrity. It is a total organization that lacks integrity. And you can talk to any legislator here. I'll visit with them. I'll stand
Ms.
right
Barbara,
here.
did you ask us here so we could be treated
No
this way?
integrity.
No.
Ms. Barbara, I asked how to have the discussion.
So the question is,
yes.
okay, here's the question. if I as a legislator voted on nothing, never showed up to Little Rock, would I score a perfect score on your scorecard?
You would probably improve your score.
That's right. No, the deal is if I never showed up, I never did my job, I'd be a perfect on
Let me stop you right there.
We
Stop.
won't
Yeah, I
list
got number
government.
one, never
Stop. All right, so he's so Senator Bart Hester there. He's bashing Brian King. Now, interestingly, I reached out to Conduit for Commerce today to kind of figure out, okay, what, this accusation, if you never showed up to work, you'd have a perfect score. Well, if you notice, I got a good answer on this, and I'm sure they don't want to hear this. But see, if you notice on the Conduit for Commerce scorecard, and if you want a good tool to know who's for limited government and who's not, you really need to look at the Conduit for Commerce scorecard. It's conduitforcommerce.org. If you'll notice, you can get a negative score on their scorecard, right? And that's exactly right, Joe. I haven't even told you that. If you never show up, you get a 0. That's how the score. So, and then based on that, so if you did nothing, you would actually start at a 0, which essentially would be middle of the pack, right? You wouldn't be number one. It goes back to priorities. It goes back to the bills that were scored, the votes that were made, the votes that were made for good bills, the votes were made for bad bills, the votes that were made for, vice versa. It's very simple, but these guys don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. And I'll tell you this. There are people who are desperately trying to figure out how to salvage loyalty to the governor, because the bottom line is, and this is the truth, Jim Hendren, Asa Hutchinson, and now I guess the cheerleader Bart Hester, they have put really good people in really terrible situations. They have put really good people who are in elected office in really terrible situations. Whether it's, you're going to shut down, kick people out of nursing homes if you don't vote for Obamacare, or you're going to vote against the troops if you don't vote for our tax increases. They put, and I feel sorry for a lot of them. And in some ways, I mean, I want more leaders, and it's, but I'm just like Asa and Jim. They have just put really, really bad situations on their own people, on their own Republicans. And they need to realize that. If you got a problem with your score on Family Council, you got a problem with your score on Conduit for Commerce's, that's because you've been following the progressive liberal agenda in that of Senator Jim Hendren and Asa Hutchinson. And it's right there in front of you for you to look and see how they voted on each bill. It's pretty fascinating. And, Bart Hester here, he starts pointing to the sky when he talks about Senator Jim Hendren. He points to the sky. I miss the Bart Hester from 2014. What happened to that Bart Hester? Come on back, Bart. Come on, man. What happened to Bart Hester that said you don't campaign on, maybe sometimes you campaign on I will and I won't. You campaign on I will and I won't, and then you went ahead with Asa's scheme for the line item veto to continue Medicaid expansion funding. And everybody knows it. I mean, my goodness, you went along with a scheme that required every Democrat in the Senate to trust that Asa would line item veto. The Democrats voted for ending Obamacare funding. Think about that. And you went along with that scam just so you could say that you voted to end it. And they went and voted for it too. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So Bart Hester, keep going here. Bart Hester goes on to bash Senator King a little bit more, but then Conduit founder Joe Maynard responds. Take a listen.
Comes to work, never votes, rarely ever. They score him number one. That's just one little thing that I'll show you on the rest. But wait till Senator Hendren, who we know and respect, and they trash daily,
points to the sky.
We'll have his shot evaluation on this later this week.
Let's stop for a second.
I would say we don't trash
I'm going to say one thing. Okay. First of all, he quoted Proverbs out of context. Okay, that's first of all. I mean, he quoted the book of Proverbs out of. They want you to believe that legislators are their own cross-examiners, that they are not the originators of the subject material. It's. I mean, you look like a moron when you do stuff like this. Okay, it may be good to start what you're going to say with a Bible verse, but when you take it out of context, it may be good to start a presentation to remind everybody you're in the military and fly a fighter pilot, or have flown fighter jets. It may be good. it's beyond that. We're talking about the substance of situations, okay? Anyway, so that's the first thing. The second thing is, this is what I'm going to say about this, grading your own paper, is it's meaningless. That's all I have to say about it. It doesn't mean anything. Keep going, Joe.
One, we focus totally on their policy and what they do. I want everyone to please go to the website.
Well, there is an article out that we have that addresses this very issue, and it is.
I've got articles on tracking our governor. Tracking everyone.
We do have a lot footnoted, and every one of them are filled with facts. Now, it's interesting that the legislators will score somebody scoring them. So you kind of got to grade your own paper. That's not their job. I can't force you to do anything. I can't make you pay anything, and I can't pass a law to make you do things. But every one of them can. Now they're going to turn around and score us, and I want to hear facts about what we've got wrong. We can disagree on opinions, and we should have those discussions with our friends. But sometimes we're only friends when we do what you want, and that ain't happening here, folks. We're friends in liberty. If it promotes more government, we're going to say why and who. Count on it. We're not liars, but if we want to count lies, we'll be glad to have that debate too.
Stop. Yeah, okay, so that's... See, when you're right on substance... Oh, my goodness. Anyway, all right, so we got to take a break now, but that's just some of the fallout from the Benton County Republican meeting last Tuesday. We'll get to more of the fallout when we come back. Has no integrity. It's totally cool for them to question the integrity of others, but we can't question their integrity. You know what I'm saying? I mean, good grief. Mr. Josh Waters, all he did was ask for a roll call vote, and apparently they're so sensitive. Joe Chat was like, "You questioning my integrity? Are you questioning my integrity?" No, I just. And then, of course, everything that he said was true about the roll call vote. He passed it on a voice vote. Then they did a roll call, and it failed because it didn't have the 11 votes required to get out of committee. I don't know, man. I thought he was questioned his hearing, but I mean, I guess you could say some of these guys need their questioning. Look, they're in questioning. Some of these guys need their integrity questioned. I mean, it's like what you just heard here. Every one of your elected officials can pass a law that drastically affects your life. How many taxes you pay, what kind of burden the government's going to be on you in the next generation. And they want to define their record. It's pretty easy, you know? I mean, the record is up on the government website. It really just speaks for itself. It's up on the Arkansas Legislative website. We'll be back more on this, the similarities between Benton County and Craighead County talking points when we come back.
From 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com.
So I noticed when you guys pulled your website up earlier that you had a picture of our governor, because earlier today or yesterday you sent your 5,000th article trashing our governor, who we know and respect from the Benton County Republican Party. And I recognize that your committee fully supported someone else in the 2014 governor election, and you were against our governor. But the point is, and I'd like to start you guys with Proverbs, I believe it's 18:17. It says, when you hear one side you think it's right till you hear the other side. Senator Hendren will have out a shot evaluation. That's a fighter pilot scoring of these scorecards. You may think one is right until you hear the other side. And I will assure you, what you've seen here tonight is full of misinterpretations. It lacks integrity. It is a total organization that lacks integrity. And you can talk to any legislator here. I'll visit with them. I'll stand
Ms.
right
Barbara,
here.
did you ask us here so we could be treated this way?
No.
Ms. Barbara, I asked how to have the discussion.
So the question is,
yes.
Okay, here's the question. If I, as a legislator, voted on nothing, never showed up to Little Rock, would I score a perfect score on your scorecard?
You would probably improve your score.
That's right. No, the deal is, if I never showed up, I never did my job, I'd be a perfect on their scorecard.
But we
The
want
guy
less
that got number
government.
one never comes to work, never votes, rarely ever. They score him number one. That's just one little thing that I'll show you on the rest. But wait till Senator Hendren, who we know and respect, and they trash daily, will have his shot evaluation on this later this week.
I would say we don't trash anyone. We focus totally on their policy and what they do. I want everyone to please go to the website.
Well, there is an article out that we have that addresses this very issue, and it is.
I've got articles with trashing our governor, trashing everyone.
We do have them all footnoted, and every one of them are filled with facts. Now, it's interesting that the legislators will score somebody scoring them. So you kind of got to grade your own paper. That's not their job. I can't force you to do anything. I can't make you pay anything, and I can't pass a law to make you do things. But every one of them can. Now they're going to turn around and score us, and I want to hear facts about what we've got wrong. We can disagree on opinions, and we should have those discussions with our friends. But sometimes we're only friends when we do what you want. And that ain't happening here, folks. We're friends in liberty. If it promotes more government, we're going to say why and who. Count on it. We're not liars, but if we want to count lies, we'll be glad to have that debate too.
Welcome those of you. Bart Hester again, a la 2014, circa 2014. Yeah, remember this?
I'm Bart Hester. I'm the senator from Benton County. On both sides of the ticket, that's what we campaign on. I will. I won't. I promise. What we don't campaign on is sometimes, usually, maybe, if the governor does this, if a lobbyist pressure be this way, if my mayor calls, maybe sometimes, right? We need candidates when the going gets tough, and it's tough.
It is
we'll
tough.
Remember that I will and I won't.
Mm-hmm. You know who's made it tougher? Asa and Jim Hendren. They have actually made it tougher on those who want to follow their principles and vote the platform. And it's really a shame. It really, truly is a shame how fast people just caved. I mean, I hope Bart Hester, honestly, Senator Hester, come on. That statement is dynamite, man. That statement is great. And you go from that, and then you go from that, which that event was organized, by the way, by many of the same people that you now say have no integrity. It's just, it's really sad. It's really, really sad when you think about it. By the way, Senator Hester, he is one of the bills that he wrote. I saw this over the weekend. There's a lawsuit now that is challenging a law that he sponsored. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Here's a quote from the lawsuit. It has to do with how you assess, real quick, it has to do with how you assess property for taxation concerning billboard property. And Senator Bart Hester was the sponsor of the bill that made sure that they were going to assess the property based on cost and not based on market value. And Senator Bart Hester has property that is used by billboards. Some people are calling foul. This is a special interest, the kind of stuff that makes people sick, I'll be quite honest with you. But it's a lawsuit that's out there. And, I mean, can you imagine if you're, and this is what the Arkansas Times notes, that if your house property tax was assessed based on cost instead of market value. The idea is the break comes if you've got a billboard that, let's say, is in, let's say the billboard is in a bad part of town socioeconomic wise, and versus a billboard that's in a really good part of town socioeconomic wise. And anyway, it is certainly a fair criticism, but now somebody's challenging that law, by the way. Just wanted to bring that to your attention, considering Senator Hester's in the news, or at least in my book he's in the news, not just for what we've been talking about, but also this lawsuit that now somebody's suing, saying, hey, look, this law is wrong. The phone number, call us, text us, 870-275-9799. That's 870-275-9799. Back in a moment. 870-275-9799. When we come back,